Now then, how salubrious is this? I feel like an extra from Game of Thrones. But seriously, I want to talk now about something which really was the big plus for me as to why I came back home to Nutrabaits. And that is the difference between the bait preparation being boiled and steamed. Now let's put a little bit of science quickly into that. The difference between boiling a boilie and steaming a boilie is 20 centigrade. So that basically means the boiling water is 100 degrees and the steaming process that we've made uniformity, the key, is 80 degrees. Now what does that do to the attraction and why is that such a big part in my own fishing? Simple. That 20 degrees difference stops the denaturing of the vital ingredients that make up the range. Now that range can be big fish mix, it can be the trigger ice, it can be trigger, it can be code D. It's immaterial because the simple reaction to boiling certain ingredients, whomever you are, is that you will lose an amount of the effectiveness and the attractiveness to the liquid. And when Jason Callahan, who's the production guy at Nutrabaits, showed me the colour of the water, I was absolutely astounded. The steam baits, when you look at the residue of water that are left in the manufacturing vessel, it's clear as day. You can see through it. Conversely, when you see the water that's left after a bait's been boiled, yeah, you've all guessed it, it's the same colour as the boilie. So what does that mean in carp layman terms? What it basically means is that part of the coloured water is part of the attractiveness of the bait. So for me, being able to use something that keeps the effectiveness and attractiveness of the boilie encapsulated within and doesn't dissipate it is a win-win situation. Now the flip side of the coin, because I use an awful lot of our dedicated liquid food boosters, so if I'm using trigger ice, I'll use a trigger ice food booster. And the great thing about it is, and I've done my own tests here, is that when you use steam baits, it's so porous that it's drinking in far much more liquid than a boiled bait. Now what does that mean in my fishing terms? Well, it's the solubility aspect that comes across consistently, effectively and durably. And what durably means is that that boilie, when it's in the pond, is leaking at a rate that's effective. If you've soaked in a liquid into a boilie that after 30 minutes has dissipated into the water column, the effectiveness is negated. However, with steam baits, because I'm able to load so much liquid in there and increase the solubility, I'm getting attraction far more than a boiled bait. And that for me was actually the game breaker, which has seen me now not go back to using boil baits. And I'm very much a result orientated guy, and when I look at my results this year in using steam baits, they are as good as any year in my long history of catching, and to such an extent that I won't go back to boil baits. Steam baits are the way forward, and fortunately for Nutrabaits, that's the #1 production manufacturing tip that we would say to everybody out there. You want steam baits, not boil baits.